It's winning formula time on Vikings Game Plan from the TCO studios. Happy to be rejoined by Wobby from Vikings.com, Ron Johnson from Vikings Game Day Live on Fox 9, and NFL Network's Tom Pellisero to handle pressing local and national football topics. Let's begin here. Tom, which Vikings playmaker do you think will be enhanced most by John DeFilippo as the offensive coordinator and Kirk Cousins as the quarterback?
I think you have to start by talking about the top two receivers, Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. Really the philosophy of the way DeFilippo and the Vikings want to play offense here is run the football, establish the run, then get the play action going. Let Kirk Cousins work off of that. That's something that he is really good at. And push the football vertically, probably more than the Vikings have done in a number of years. I talked a bit with Thielen about this early on in camp. He thinks that that's what the direction they're going to go. These receivers hope that's the direction it's going to go too. Let them make more plays down the field, isolate those matchups, and you've got two guys that, based on their productivity to this point, you'd say defenses every week are going to have to figure out, okay, how are we going to match up on both sides?
Right on.
I think we may see an inverse of the issue we had with Adrian Peterson here for so many years when it was 8 in the box.
Yep.
Every single first and second down, and Adrian had to find his way through that. The running game had to work its way through that. Now, maybe, Tom, if you're right, everyone's worried about the outside with Diggs and Thielen and maybe Rudy, and that's going to open some things up for the running game. And for Dalvin Cook, maybe people are going to sleep on Dalvin Cook because he missed most of last season. I think through the first couple of games last season, Dalvin was one of our better players. So it might be the inverse of the issue the Vikings faced when they had Adrian.
I'd say Kyle Rudolph. If you look at Kirk Cousins, Jordan Reed was his guy. Vernon Davis turned his career around, or extended his career with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
And then you look at DeFilippo, who had Zach Ertz. Tight end was his main go-to guy. Kurt's already said throwing to Kyle is like a mattress, so he clearly loves to throw the ball to the bigger body. So I look to see Kyle Rudolph really take over in the red zone this year and just be that Jimmy Graham type big body guy that maybe we even see him split out wide and run some slants and fades.
And really the best part about this is we can have this debate and there is no one single guy that teams are going to try and X out of the Vikings offense. That's going to allow John DeFilippo to be a little more versatile.
Now, speaking of versatility with Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray, a couple of big names. Latavius had 8 touchdowns last year. Dalvin, second-round pick. When I ask if people are surprised how good the Vikings running game has been so far, I don't want to disrespect those two, but you do have a new quarterback, a new coordinator, new plays, and an offensive line in flux.
I think the reason people might be surprised that the running game has looked as good as it has is because everyone's been talking about the problems and injuries on the offensive line. And
right.
So you associate not being able to run the ball very well, but all camp, even with the injuries, the Vikings have been running the ball well against the Vikings defense. So it didn't surprise me at all.
It's all about meshing the run game with the play action game and being able to play those two things off of each other. Even though they've had the flux on the offensive line, they've got a very clear prototype of what they're looking for. They want athletic guys who are going to be able to get out and move, going to be able to be effective in the zone running game. That's why they cut Alex Boone at the cutdown deadline last year. They just needed guys who could get out in space a little bit more. They continue to aggregate those guys, draft them, bring them into the program. They've had some things that they've got to overcome here, but you at least know what they're looking for.
I'd say don't overlook the RPO. You look at what the Eagles did in the run game last year, LeGarrette Blount, Corey Clement. These guys were not great running backs, but they had good success and actually won a Super Bowl. The RPO does make the linebackers play honest. You can't cheat. If you cheat, Kurt's going to pull it and throw it. If you're where he needs you to be, he's going to run the ball. So Coach Downing said about 20 to 25% of the time they're going to try to get that RPO in there, and that's going to help out that offensive line and keeping those linebackers honest.
The Vikings have an interesting running back battle as a position battle goes between Rock Thomas, Mike Boone, both undrafted, and Mac Brown, who played with Kirk Cousins in Washington. This team has some compelling position battles. What about the depth of the secondary?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really fun spot to watch here for the next couple weeks with cutdown day approaching. And I can't wait to see who they settle on for the nickel cornerback job because there are a few options. You got Terrence Newman, the veteran, who you know can do it, Mac Alexander, who they've been working on for a couple of seasons now, and then the first-round pick, Mike Hughes. I mean, Mike Zimmer has a lot of good choices, and it'll be exciting to see who he settles on.
It stood out to me talking to Zimmer back in minicamp how highly he spoke of Mike Hughes, because Zimmer does not exactly have a reputation as somebody who's all in on any rookie player immediately, but he talked about Hughes. He just said he's got so much to learn. This guy only played a couple of snaps in the slot ever at the college level. He has all these different things to learn in terms of how the communication goes, in terms of, okay, when this motion happens, what do I have to do when I'm playing in the slot? Once he got up to speed on that, you saw him start to make a lot of plays on the football. So between him and Mackenzie Alexander, maybe there's some options to play other sub packages. Maybe you've got different guys who can be on the field.
With the running backs, Boone and Thomas are both vying for that spot. Now it's about who's going to play special teams, because that third down, that third back is not going to play a ton if maybe 5 to 10% of the offense. It's going to be special teams, and that's where Mike Prefer is going to come in and say, which guy gives me the most production on special teams? That's the guy I want.
Well, right, and the big thing is not just let's find our best 53. It's who are the 46 that are going to be active on game day, because we might keep you as the RB3, but if you're never going to play on Sunday, now maybe we might slide that guy out and a different guy in. So Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman are thinking 1 and 2 steps further down the road than just cut down day. Who's going to be active on Sundays?
Tom Pellisero, NFL Network, has been everywhere from Boston to Denver and every town in between, including Renton, Washington, with Seattle. Do you feel, nationally speaking, people may be too down on Seattle into this year?
I'll tell you this. Inside the Seahawks building, they kind of like that nobody has expectations in a lot of different ways, with how young they are on the roster, how they're turning it over, the competition that they've got in practice. It reminds people of 2012. At that point, nobody expected anything from the Seahawks, right? They were coming off, I think, a 7-9 season. We didn't know who the quarterback was. They had several guys competing. Russell Wilson ends up winning the job as a rookie. They become a surprise team that gets into the playoffs, sets the stage for them to be one of the youngest Super Bowl winners the following year. They see some of those same traits. Not to say that all these guys are going to develop 7 different all-pros like they did with that group, but you still got Bobby Wagner. You still got KJ Wright on defense. You still have Russell Wilson at quarterback. You have some players who have been there, who have been a part of those Super Bowl teams. That's why they refer to it as a reset, not a rebuild. They definitely think that they've got a chance to be better than people are expecting.
And that's exactly right. The answer to the question is, yeah, people are too down on them. This is a Super Bowl winning team with a lot of those core players still in place. Yeah, some of the defenders are gone, but it's a different type of team.
It's just not the same team. It's not the Legion of Boom. It's more like the Legion of Doom. And Russell Wilson has to now go win games. I hope he can do it. They have to find who they are now. And it's Russell Wilson's team. It's going to be offense first. Defense, just keep up and keep us in some games.
New coordinator there too, Brian Schottenheimer, running that offense. They really want to run the football. They always talk about it, but when they've been good, that's been something they've been effective with. And a name to remember is Chris Carson. They're really high on him. He played well last season before he got injured. That is going to be the back to watch heading into the season.
Great job. Safe travels, all right?
Appreciate it.
Tom Pellisero, NFL Network, Vikings.com, Ron Johnson, Vikings Game Day Live, and I'm Paul Allen. For all of us here at TCO Studios with Vikings Game Plan, thanks for watching.